Mission Impossible Fallout is the sixth film in the Mission Impossible franchise and is again directed by Christopher McQuarrie, who returns from his work on Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. And once again stars Tom Cruise, Simon Pegg, Henry Cavill, and Rebecca Ferguson. And this time around, after a mission goes wrong, Ethan Hunt must hunt down some stolen plutonium as he's being monitored by a CIA agent. Soon he becomes involved in a plot that may bring destruction to the whole world. Guys, I'm a huge fan of the Mission Impossible movies. I think each one just continuously gets better and better, and that's no exception here. I think Fallout might be the best of the Mission Impossible movies, and it's also one of the best action movies I've ever seen. From the very beginning, there's something very different about this Mission Impossible. I would almost compare it to how much Ghost Protocol was different from the previous three Mission Impossibles. It's very much a fresh new take on the series. It's a little darker, but that's not a thing to say that, oh, that makes it good or anything because it's darker. This movie is filled with some of the greatest action set pieces I've ever seen put on screen. Very early in the film, there's a scene that's not even really an action scene. It's just a very well executed jump scene as Ethan Hunt has to jump from a plane hundreds of feet in the air, and it's just fantastic to watch. It's tense, it's raw, it's just a really great scene that's got a lot of tension, and it's just fun, and it makes you want to catch your breath. It's hard to catch your breath too. I don't know how to describe it. That's how I feel through this entire movie. There's just moment after moment of, man, I have to catch a breath or something because that was intense. This movie is very intense. That's not to say that the other ones weren't intense, but this one takes it to a new level. The action scenes are very well done, very well choreographed, and the cinematography is superb. I looked at the cinematographer for this film, and he's the same guy that did Annihilation earlier this year. Now, whatever you thought of Annihilation doesn't matter. What matters is that that movie was absolutely beautiful, and that's no exception here. This movie is gorgeously shot, and it really helps, especially with those action scenes. They're just so well edited and filmed, especially scenes like a brawl inside a bathroom, which is tense as hell, especially because of Henry Cavill. If you've seen the trailer, you've seen the scene I'm talking about where he starts fighting. Oh, it's just brutal. That's a thing about this movie, is it's a whole lot more brutal than the others. I don't know. I watched Rogue Nation before this, and it's much more tamed in its action. Christopher McQuarrie really went to some dark places with this one and had a lot more fun with this one. I think probably because he was set in with that first one that he did, Rogue Nation, that he could just do whatever he wanted with the sequel, and I love what he did on this. Also, another thing you see in the trailers, the helicopter scene is one of the most tense scenes I've ever seen, and I could watch that scene forever. It's just so well done, and just the editing is so great. And I want to talk about the pacing too. The pacing is something else. This movie is just so tightly edited that it's 2.5 hours long, and it never feels its length. Something is always happening, you're always on the edge of your seat, and it barely gives you room to breathe, which can be exhausting, but man, aren't you satisfied at the very end when you're like, oh, it's done and I can breathe. This movie is just filled with such great action, and I've been talking about the action too much. Let's go on to something else that I think this movie does very well. And the others don't really do this. This really delves more into the character of Ethan Hunt. Just showing what a good person he is, and it explores those themes of loss and love, and I mean, they're things you've seen before, but never in a Mission Impossible movie. I don't think we've gotten this much depth with his character before, I think, since maybe the third one, which is another thing I like. This movie is not just another sequel. That's a thing that I've noticed with these movies, is nothing really connects together. There's sequels, but kind of like with the Bond films, there's no true connection between them except for a select few. But this one tries to incorporate things from all of them. You can see glimpses of the first movie on here. There's homages to the second one even. But the movie has the closest connection to the third movie and the fifth movie, with the reintroduction of Michelle Monaghan in the movie, who played Ethan's wife in the third movie, which I really enjoyed that they brought her character back in, because that is something that I was always confused with the fourth one, because they kind of just disregard her, and I always felt that a little odd that you would just take that plot thread from the third one and just not do anything with it. So I'm glad this movie addressed that. Yes, this movie has its darker moments, but it's also incredibly funny. That's a thing with at least 4, 5, and 6 now, is these movies have gotten a great sense of humor that you didn't have with the first three. And I like the first three a lot. I like 3 more than the first 2, but they always felt more serious in tone. And these last 3 are very much more fun in a way, and I like that about that. I'm just wondering what they're going to do with the next one, because they are in talks of doing a 7th one. I mean, this movie's so good that I don't know how you're going to top it. I feel like anything you do, even if it's slightly not as good as this one, it'll automatically be like, oh, well, that wasn't as good. Well, no shit. It's hard to make a greatest film ever made when you've already made the greatest film ever made. Guys, Mission Impossible Fallout was a blast, and I enjoyed it from beginning to end. The pacing was perfect. And the script is top-notch. The script is very smart and well thought out, with a lot of things that connect to other things that, if you don't pay close attention, you might miss. But I think it was pretty easy to follow. This movie also has a lot of good twists that I didn't even see coming, and when they happened, I just had a big smile on my face. And this series proves again and again that these are great movies, and they just keep getting better and better, and I've never seen a franchise like this where just each movie gets progressively better. You would think by the 6th movie in a franchise that the series would be done and just be tired and old, but no, this series still has a lot of life in it, and if they make another one, I'll see it and hopefully enjoy it. And I have no problem in saying that this is the best Mission Impossible movie. Before doing this review, I sat down and watched Rogue Nation again, because that was my favorite before this movie, and I just wanted to compare, and this movie is so much better. And I loved Rogue Nation, but to me, Rogue Nation just feels like another Mission Impossible movie. There's nothing about it that really stands out, but every scene in Fallout stands out to me. And I don't know, guys. I just love this movie, and I honestly want to see it again because I just had a blast. And with all that said, I give Mission Impossible Fallout a 9 out of 10. Guys, if you haven't seen this movie, do yourself a favor and watch it because it's just a great action film and a great summer blockbuster that I think you guys will really enjoy. It's a great popcorn flick that isn't mindless action, that's very well thought out with some good character drama and just really fun characters. So I say go check it out. Anyway, guys, with all that said, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next review.